Hey guys, hopefully the excitement of testing week here at Athletics is overwhelming any misery that you may feel related to any Midwestern teams laying eggs in the NFL today. I know I'm certainly trying to look forward to this week to kind of get me over the Packers' performance today. So with that in mind, I wanted to come out and make a video in a way to distract myself from that and talk a little bit about, we're going to talk about the formatting of what testing week is going to look like. And then B, we're going to talk a little bit about athleticism in general and why it's important. So this will be two separate videos, okay? The first video is going to be all about testing week and what that's going to look like, all right? So tonight, shortly after the release of this video, we're going to be released the tests. And we have 12 tests of strength, power, conditioning, and speed and agility, okay? Now these make up all of the facets of athleticism that we're trying to improve as we define it, okay? Remember, athleticism as we define it is the aptitude to repeatedly express power, strength, coordination, agility simultaneously and at will. Okay, kind of a wordy, jargony definition. We'll go ahead and break that down in the second video and talk to you guys exactly about what that is and why all of those facets are important and all of the elements that we're talking about for testing week, the power, strength, agility, speed, and conditioning, why all those elements are necessary for us to be healthy human beings, or why we should prioritize them, okay? So first off, how testing week is going to work. So of these 12 tests, we're going to divide these tests into sessions, all right? So there are 4 overall sessions. So what we need is to make sure that we get in all sessions, if not during testing week, at some point in the next 2 weeks. Okay, and so we can use either open gym time after class, before class, or even Saturdays to be able to make sure that we get all this in. Because we want to make sure that we have accurate benchmarks moving forward so that when we go throughout these cycles, 3 cycles from now or 12 weeks from now, we'll retest. We want to have accurate benchmarks to make sure that we can assess progress and make sure that our program is working the way that it's supposed to. Okay? So now these tests are divided primarily based upon in order of least fatiguing test to most fatiguing test. And this is a very common way in the world of exercise science to make sure that you're relaying fitness testing or athletics testing. Okay? And that's to make sure that we get primarily the speed, power, and agility tests out of the way first. Okay? And the idea behind that is they are the least metabolically demanding, so they create the least drain on your body's resources in order to perform them. Okay? So it should seem obvious that because that's the case, when we perform those tests first, we have more in the tank for later tests. So I'm not saying this is a test, but if this were a test, an example of a power exercise might be a broad jump. Okay? So a power exercise like the broad jump is something we would place earlier in the testing protocol. Okay? Whereas a strength exercise like a back squat would be something that we'd place about in the middle, and then a conditioning test like a 2,000-meter row would be something we'd place at the very end. All right? So now this order is very, very important to ensure that we're maximizing our results in all 3. Okay? Power tests, you need to be totally fresh in order to perform them. All right? Not only fresh in that session, so you shouldn't have done a lot of work prior to this test in that session to make sure that we can maximize the result there. But we should also ensure that we haven't performed a lot of high volume training or very high intensity training in the days prior to that test to make sure that we are fully rested and we can call upon all of our athleticism in order to get the best result that we can in that test. All right? So that's why power tests are so important to go first. They're highly neurological, highly skill-based, so we want to make sure we're as fresh as possible. So then, also, we're going to talk about the back squat. That's a strength test, all right? So now we're moving along the spectrum from a little bit less skill and neurological, although they're both very skilled and neurological, of course. I'm not trying to say a back squat's not. But it requires more of the body to perform a high-intensity back squat or a very heavy back squat, all right? So the result of doing a heavy back squat is the fact that the body is going to be more fatigued, all right? Primarily, the central nervous system is going to be more fatigued, and that takes some time to recover. So when the central nervous system is fatigued, basically that means that your body's going to be less capable of performing a skilled movement after fatigue sets in. Okay? That's why we put those tests second, not first, because we don't want to have that central nervous system fatigue for the power tests. But we don't want to make sure, we want to make sure that we're still keeping some of the freshness. We don't want to be too fatigued when we perform those top-end strength tests, right? That's why they fall in the middle. And then finally, we leave our conditioning tests or the longer duration tests for last, all right? That's because while they're very highly demanding from an energy standpoint, okay, so it takes a lot of energy to perform them, and they're very fatiguing muscularly, so you're going to feel sore afterwards or lethargic, okay? And we absolutely cannot deplete some of the body's resources that it takes to do those conditioning tests prior to any speed or strength testing, all right? And that's just to make sure that we're as fresh as possible for those power and strength tests. So that's a little idea or understanding of why the tests are going to be laid out the way they will. It'll make more sense once you finally see what the tests are, and I have those laid out in order of the way that we would like to perform them, all right? So you'll see that in class this week. What's going to happen is as you come in class, it's going to be like an open gym style warm-up. We'll warm up collectively as a group, and then after everybody's warmed up, I'm going to work with everybody, or each coach is going to work with everybody to relay these assessments or these tests to them. So and if you're here early in the week, in all likelihood, we'll all be on the same page performing the same tests, all right? If you come later in the week, it's going to be more about getting in the tests that you missed, okay? We'll be having coaches here, myself, Josie, Callie, to make sure that you guys are fully aware of what you're supposed to be doing when you're here, okay? So no worries there. All right, so hopefully that answers any questions about testing week, or if you have anything more, please feel free to direct message me, let me know, give me a text, whatever you guys might need. Looking forward to seeing all the PRs this week, guys. You guys have put a lot of work in over the last 3 months, so let's reap what we've sown, okay? Take care.